Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining today. Um, my name is Eva Donahue. Today we are going to be talking about working through the busy season. Again, my name is Eva Donahue. I'm the Member Services Liaison with Okie 811, and joining and moderating today is going to be Jan Jenkins. She's our Member Relations Specialist. But before we dive in, of course, as usual, we're going to go over a couple of housekeeping items. Just a reminder that everyone is in listen-only mode. We want to thank you again for taking the time to join us today. For attending, you do have a chance to win an Amazon gift card. We will spin the wheel towards the end to see who that lucky winner is. We do ask if you'll go ahead now and use the chat feature shown here to enter your name, your company name, and your email address so we can contact you regarding your winnings. And then also, if you have any questions, we do ask that you use the Q&A icon there to submit any questions you have throughout the webinar, and then we'll answer those questions during the Q&A sessions towards the end. So now just wanted to kind of cover the agenda today. What we're going to be looking at is the accurate account information and why that's important, the busy season insights through data, responding to tickets, managing your trending workloads, ticket concerns, and then also excavation readiness, staying ahead of the work. So first, we're going to look at the accuracy of count information. It is important to review information not only during the busy season, just throughout the year, just making sure the account information is current and up to date. You want to review the authorized contacts, making sure all necessary personnel are included on the account, that the contacts are the ones that have authority to manage the account. The one-call contacts, GIS contacts, are your mapping contacts that can view and update mapping. And then you also may have some locator contacts that can actually have the authority to respond to tickets on your behalf through the Okie 811 portal. So you want to make sure, and all these contacts also receive, especially the one-call contacts, receive a lot of important information. This is how we communicate with you regarding any upcoming events, important changes, anything like that, law changes. We use the contacts on the account to communicate with you. Also, you want to make sure and look at your outputs in your ticket, which is your ticket notifications. Anything under the outputs is how we notify you of locate request notifications. And so you want to make sure and check that information and make sure all necessary personnel are receiving the ticket notifications. If you do say tickets are going to one person's email, and you need additional personnel to receive locate request notifications via email as well, you can do that. You can add as many emails as you want. There are additional output costs, though, associated with that. So you might consider, if you have a lot of different emails that you want to add, you might consider creating a group email on your end and then share that with us, and we can we're only sending one email out, but internally when it hits that group email address, it's going out to all the necessary personnel. So that's something to consider if you want to have additional email addresses included. And then also you want to check your positive response configuration. You want to make sure that all facility types are accurate and included on your positive response configuration. You also want to make sure that all necessary personnel listed on the configuration are included as well. You can have as many users as you need. If you do need to add additional users, you can do that by going to our website, okie811.org, and click on the portal link, and then you can register any new users that you want to be included. Also, you want to make sure and review the mapping of your facilities that's on file with Okie 811. It is important that you view this information and make sure that all your facilities are protected. First, you might want to look at and see how your facilities are registered. Are you registered by centerline data, or are you registered by quarter sections? And we'll kind of look at that here in a little bit, a little closer in just a second. You also want to look and see, does the mapping reflect current facilities? Have you sold any assets that may still be registered? You want to make sure and get those removed, so you're not receiving any unnecessary locate requests, because that can increase your workload. Have you acquired any assets? Have they been added? And you want to make sure that you are receiving the notifications for facilities you want protected. And then also you might want to look at your buffer size. Is it the default 500-foot buffer on all centerline data? Quarter sections do not include buffers, but centerline center point data does include a 500-foot buffer. And you want to look and see what size that is, and see if you might want to increase it or if you want to decrease it. So that's something we've have a lot of recorded webinars. If you have any questions about the mapping, a lot of tutorials available in the portal itself, if you do have any questions about mapping. But it is important to help manage your workload. It's important that the mapping of your facilities is what triggers those notifications. And so it's important to make sure it's current and up to date. So now let's talk about we've talked a little bit about the quarter section and centerline data registration, and registering your assets by centerline data helps make sure that you're receiving more relevant locate requests. So these three images here, the first, company A has this pipeline that they need to register. They may not have great data of that pipeline facility or know exactly where it's at, so they may be registering by quarter sections. So they've registered all those green squares there are, they say, we have a facility somewhere within this area, not exactly sure where. So we're going to say we need to register all 7 of these quarter sections. Company B, they have some information on where that facility is, and so they registered that with centerline data and applied the default buffer of 500 feet. So that's how they're registering their facilities. So you can see the second image kind of shows the difference in the centerline data versus the quarter section registered. And then the third image shows you that the excavator submitted 32 tickets in this area. And you can see those all 32 tickets, there's those orange squares there, or they all show that they're touching the quarter sections. But so the company that's registered by quarter section, company A, is receiving all 32 tickets. However, those orange squares outlined in red, those are the ones that company B receives. Those are the tickets that are that cover or fall within the area of the facility, the centerline data, or the buffer itself. And so company B is receiving 15 tickets. So you can see company B, since they're registered by centerline data, they're receiving more relevant locate requests. So if you're receiving those relevant locate requests, that helps with your workload, especially during the busy season. So mapping does matter and can save you time and money and helps ensure you receive relevant tickets only. Next, we're going to look at some ticket trends and some data to help with the busy season, because identifying the trends of what's happening helps you kind of manage your workload and know where you might need to make some adjustments. So first, we're going to look at some inbound ticket trends. On the left, you'll see the ticket trends by the month. This is just for tickets for the current year, for the first 5 months of this year. And so you can see like March and April was a little higher than May, where you might have thought differently, just being May, being later in the summer, but you can see where the volume adjusts there a little bit. So it's important to kind of look at the volume by month sometimes. Also to the right, you want to see, you can look at the tickets by ticket type. You can see the highest volume of tickets by ticket type is our normal tickets. The next highest volume would be our remark tickets. Then it looks like extend and then emergency and then so on from there. So knowing the type of tickets and knowing the law and how to respond to those each ticket type can help you with managing your workload and responding accordingly and on time. This is just a look of those same tickets. For the first 5 months, we had a total of 574,175 tickets. And so this kind of shows you the areas of where all the excavation activity is happening. Of course, on all these charts, Oklahoma City or Oklahoma County, Tulsa County are the highest volume. But you can see here the surrounding counties also have a higher volume for where the excavation activity is happening. So this is good information to kind of help you in managing where personnel may need to be more, maybe make adjustments in where your team is to help manage the workload for those counties. This next chart is looking at the highest volume by work type. So these are the different work types that are happening, and you all may be feeling this. There's a lot of fiber optic going in throughout the state, and that's what our ticket volume shows. It shows that fiber optic main line and service line is the highest volume tickets by work type. And then you can see water service line, electric pole, and these are only just the work types that have 10,000 or more tickets for the first 5 months of this year. So this kind of can help you, again, know what's happening, can help you with keeping up through the season. So now we're just going to kind of look at these top 5 of those work types and to kind of see where this fiber optic main line is happening. You can see again Oklahoma Tulsa County is the big ones, but then you can see Cleveland County, Canadian County are some larger ones, as well as that by the Tulsa County area. So you can kind of see where this activity is happening at. Same thing for the fiber optic service line where all that activity is happening at. You can kind of see where that's at and make adjustments accordingly. Next is looking at the water service line. It looks like majority of that is happening in Tulsa County, but you can see some in Oklahoma County as well, and then it kind of tapers off. But by the main 2 counties again is where you see the volume, the higher volume. Next, we're looking at the electric pole replacement and anchors. That's kind of all over the place in Oklahoma, kind of northeast, southeast, and then kind of central Oklahoma. And so you can kind of see where the volume is there, and then can make adjustments with your team to see maybe certain areas need certain attention for a little while through the busy season. Then next is the road construction. You can kind of see where that's happening as well. Between Tulsa and Oklahoma counties and the surrounding counties again. And then also you want to look at your response trends, and you can pull these reports through. You can pull the data through the portal. You can also reach out to our member services. We do encourage you to use the portal. It is there and for your convenience and to use. Rather than reaching out and waiting on us, you can use that at your own convenience. So we do encourage you to use that. But if you do need to are unable, sometimes it is kind of finicky and you might need to try to pull it a couple of times. But if not, reach out to us. We're happy to pull the data that you need. But looking at response is one of the portal reports that are available to you, but it is important to kind of look and see where what's happening with your responses. A big eye-opening trend here is that out of all of our responses for the first 5 months of this year, you can see the highest is clear. So clear means there's no conflict, that your facility is not in conflict with the excavation that's described on these tickets. And so that to me indicates that there's a lot of time spent responding to tickets that aren't even close or relevant to your facility. So that might be because you're registered by a quarter section rather than centerline data. It could be that you may have some assets that were sold that are still included on the mapping that you're receiving notifications for. So, if you're spending a lot of time responding to tickets that you don't necessarily even need to receive, that's a big help in managing the workload through the busy season. And then also site marked is one of our higher ones for those the facilities that are in conflict. And then you can see the other two highest are the other response, and then also no response. So it is important to respond to these tickets. It is required by law to respond through the portal to all locate request notifications. And so we encourage you, if you're not doing so, if you have questions about it, not sure how to do it, please reach out to our member services team. We're happy to help you in any way we can. We can set up a meeting or anything with you and your team. We do, it is important to make sure and protect those facilities from any damage during excavation. Also, other, I do want to talk a little bit about that. Other is the only time you should be using other is when all these other response options do not work. Ultimately, other is not an excavation ready response. So if you're using the response other, we'd love to hear some of the reasons that you might be using other for a response to see, is there anything that we can do on our end? What is the reason that you're using it? What can we do to help? Is there something else we can do to help to eliminate other? But with other, it does require comments because other doesn't really tell you a whole lot about your facility in comparison to the excavation that's described on the ticket. So it does require comments. So we encourage you to use those comments and enter the status of your facility in regards to the excavation. But also, if you're using other, since it is not an excavation ready response, we do encourage you to follow up. You can add multiple responses to any ticket, regardless of what response you added originally. And we encourage you, if you're using other, since it's not excavation ready response, we do encourage you to follow it up with a closed response, such as like site marked or clear or whatever it may be. What is that status of that facility? Can that excavator proceed with excavation? Next is we have recently started sending out these excavation readiness monthly reports. It does show your individual response performance as well as the statewide response performance. So it gives you a lot of information about it. It shows you whether your responses are on time, late, or there's no response. So this is kind of a high level summary report that you're receiving each month, which is good because it kind of tells you what's going on and how y'all are handling the locate request notifications and responding to them, and the comparison and how you're doing statewide as well. But also we do have detailed reports available for you on this. So if you're looking at your excavation readiness report and you want some more details to see, what tickets were late, what ones didn't have a response, what areas are you responding to really well and on time, you can reach out to us. We're happy to send you that report. You can give us a call or email us and we'll send that information over to you, because this information is also helpful in, again, identifying trends, where excavation is happening, where we're struggling getting responses done, and how we can improve and move forward from there. Next is managing ticket trend workloads. So now we're going to kind of go over some ticket types, understanding what those trends were. The reports that we just looked at helps you respond to these ticket types in a timely manner, and as well as just managing your workload. So first we're going to look at extend ticket types. That was one of the third highest volume by ticket type. And so what an extend ticket is a continuation of a ticket that um, basically needs excavator needs more time to complete that job. So they want to extend the life of the ticket. But with extend tickets, they're stating that the excavator states that the markings do not need to be refreshed. This is actually a pop-up asking them if they receive a pop-up of the information, or if they call it in, they're asked if the markings are still visible. Do they need to someone to come out and remark them, or are the markings still visible and no refresh is needed? And so when they state that a refresh is not needed, that becomes an extend ticket. They're wanting to extend the life of the ticket with markings not needed. And so you can save time by using the ticket type extend response. It is completely your option whether you want to send someone out and mark the facility, check the field again and mark the facilities. And sometimes, depending on what type of facility it is, you may want to take that extra step just to safeguard that facility. But with the excavator stating that the markings do not need to be refreshed, it is your and that extend ticket, it is your choice whether you want to send someone out or not to the dig site to remark and check those markings and make sure they're still good markings. But if you choose not to go out and send someone out, then use the ticket type extend response, which states that the excavator states markings are still visible and refresh not needed. And it also includes in there, if marks need refreshed, excavator must submit new locate request. So it includes that information in the response if you use the ticket type extend response to these extend tickets. It's only available for these extend tickets, but it could save you time if you choose not to go out to the field. And since they stated that the markings were still visible. Also design survey tickets. These are the design survey tickets is not an excavation request. It's basically they're just needing mapping information for a design or engineering project phase of their project that they're doing. And so when someone calls in or submits a ticket online for a design survey request, we do ask if they're going to be digging or not. We created this design survey request so that when engineers are just needing information, they're not actually calling in locate requests where you have to go out and mark. We want them to have this option so that they can to help save you from having to go out and mark them, and being able to just provide the information that they're needing and get in contact with whoever they need to get in contact with your company to get the information for them to help proceed with their design phase of their project. But we ask if they're going to be if there's going to be digging involved. If they click yes, they're going to get this second pop-up here saying that digging is involved. Since you've indicated that, it's now going to be a normal locate request. If they choose no, they can proceed with submitting a design survey request. Ticket, and again, it's not an excavation ticket. It's simply a request to get information about where your facilities are for that area that they're working and in that design phase. So you can save time by sending maps to them. First of all, knowing the design, what the law requirements are for a design ticket is important, because you do have 14 calendar days from the date of the request. So knowing that information helps you manage the workload, because you have more time to respond to these design survey requests than a normal locate request. Also, the option's yours. If the facility is clear, of course, and not in conflict with that design project, then you can simply respond clear. But if it is in conflict, you can either mark the facility, you can send someone out in the field and mark the facilities, or you can send a map. The option is yours. Even if they request you go out and mark, the option is still yours. You have the option if you prefer to save time and money by sending a map, you can send a map. Um, and then once you respond, these do require responses, so you want to add the response reflecting how you handled the request, whether you mark the facility, or if you do send a map, there is a special response code for that. And it is that number 15, facility representative provided map files to design survey requestee. That is what the response will say. And then again, like I said, it does require comments, so you want to include any pertinent information about the date and time you sent the map, what file type you sent the map in, who you sent the map to, and any correspondence that you might have had with the requestee of the design survey request. So you can include that, or you can save time by sending just maps rather than sending out someone out to mark those facilities. Something also I wanted to mention, if you do want to send a map, and maybe you don't have electronic file of your mapping yet, you can use the service area editor feature in our portal and download a copy electronic file of your map. I do want to say it is going to include all the facilities in Oklahoma that you have registered with us. That's what the electronic file will include, all those facilities that are registered. But so you may have to kind of work around, because for the design survey request, you probably only want to send where your facilities are in regards to the design survey request. So you may be able to, once you download it, maybe you can make a image of it, or do something else, split the file or something to help to share and send a map. If you don't have an electronic file already, you can get that from the service area editor feature in the portal. Next is a pre-excavation meeting request. These meeting requests is fairly new. It's just a notice to underground facility operators to participate in a scheduled meeting for planning purposes for large projects, and help coordinate the resources accordingly. So it can save you time. It may take you some time to go attend the meeting, but they can be very beneficial if they have a large project going on in your area, and you're able to coordinate with them and let them know the resources that you have available to help them to mark these facilities for this large project. It can be very helpful and save you time in the long run. For the pre-excavation meeting request, there are certain requirements. And those are shown and discussed with the anyone requesting a pre-excavation meeting request. For one, it is for large projects only. And so it kind of shows that a large project is defined by law exceeding something that may exceed scope of work limit or estimation duration is more than 90 days. So that is what's considered a large project. The submission of a pre-excavation meeting request cannot be less than 14 days prior to the beginning of the excavation. So these meeting requests should be submitted 14 days before they plan on starting the job. So, and this information, you have 72 hours to respond to these tickets. That's a little further down this list. You have 72 hours. So that knowing that information and what the law requires does help, again, you coordinate your resources and manage that workload a little better, knowing that you have a little more time than the 48 hours for locate requests. So attending those meetings can be helpful. So you again have the option whether you can attend or not. So you'll include whether there are two specific responses for specifically for pre-excavation meetings. These responses are only available for those pre-excavation meeting requests, and that's whether you're going to be attending or not attending. Whether you attend or not, it's important to include any important information in the comments, including contact information for the attendees if it's something that maybe you can't attend for the day they requested, and respond will not attend but would love to get together and communicate and work with them on coordinating a schedule a marking schedule or something like that. Include that information if you're not able to attend so that you can still work with them and communicate with them and help coordinate your responses, your response accordingly, and work out a marking schedule. That can also help with your workload. Repeat notices. We do receive a lot of fourth notices, second, third, fourth notices. And what these repeat notices are basically additional tickets when a member has not or facility operator has not responded to a ticket by the work date and work to begin date and time. So if the excavators are required by law, you can see here, the excavators are required by law to check for positive response on their tickets before they can begin their work. And they have to make sure that they've received responses from all operators listed on the ticket. If they do not see responses from all operators, then they will call in a second, third, fourth notice ticket to get those. So if you're receiving um, these second and third notices, fourth notices, that's creating more workload for you. So it's best to respond on time. It saves you time because you're not you're increasing your ticket volume if you're not responding on time because they're submitting these repeat notices. You can see on the left there are fee schedule that second notice tickets are an additional $2 for each second notice you receive and $3 for each third notice you receive. So it's not only increasing taking time, but it's also you're incurring additional fees. And then also it just creates further delays for you and as well as the excavator. So, and increases the workload for both as well. So it's important to, again, we're here to help in any way we can. So if you do have any concerns, reach out, let us know. We also have a ticket concerns form on our website. So we're here to help you, but it is important to make sure that you are responding on time to help manage your workload better. The safety impact of late and missing responses, it can increase safety risk for excavators, increase costs for all parties, like we kind of mentioned already. It does reduce the efficiency for both excavators and facility operators and lowers that excavation readiness response performance. So again, it is important to try to respond. It is required by law to respond to tickets, and it's helpful to respond clearly if you have any questions. If there's so many different options that you have in a response, and there's opportunity to communicate using those comments. So we encourage you to do so and just try to work with the excavator as much as you can, communicate with them to help make sure that you can respond on time. Next, we're going to talk about some ticket concerns that we do hear, some complaints or concerns about from our members. The remark tickets, we kind of talked about extend tickets earlier. Remark tickets is basically the other side of that. These are remark tickets or where a ticket needs an excavator needs additional time to continue and complete the job. So they need an additional 14 calendar days to complete their job. But with remark tickets, they're saying we do need someone to come out and remark their facilities. They do need those markings refreshed. So that's what a remark ticket is. But the complaint or the concern that we're hearing is that some of these remark tickets are just being submitted without when the job may already be complete. So if you're finding it could be where the job is already complete, or maybe the excavation isn't scheduled to begin. They're submitting it so that they can be ready to start the work, but that job keeps pushing back, but they're continuing to submit these remark tickets. That can be an example of these remark tickets. Or if there's large projects, again, we talked about updating those when the job's already completed or they haven't yet begun that phase of the project. So if you're seeing this, we're asking you to use this specific phrase of no signs of current excavation. That way we, Okie 811, as well as you, can identify using this phrase. If you include that in your comments when you're going out and marking a facility, you can use the response site marked, but in that comments of that site marked, include that no signs of current excavation, so we can identify how often this is happening, who it's happening with, and can do some education with the excavator, see if there's what opportunities that we have to help reduce this as much as we can. And then also just knowing that in the law, it does say that you can recoup cost from the excavator for unnecessary, excessive, or unreasonable locate requests. And this would be excessive because they're calling in a request where nothing's happening. And so if you ever choose to invoice them, using this specific phrase can help you to identify all those tickets that you responded to unnecessarily because no work was happening. So we encourage you to use this phrase to help us identify those and how often it's happening, who it's happening with, and so we can do our part to try to mitigate it, as well as it helps you to identify them as well. And then also, we ask that you communicate with the excavator as well to help address any concerns and reduce unnecessary locate activity. It's important that we're trying to do our part that we can do to help mitigate this. But if you also reinforce that, then that helps them help them understand the impact that it has on you. And then that will help mitigate it a little bit, or at least we can work together on trying to help mitigate it as well. Next is some concerns about false emergency tickets. What the law states an emergency is, and where there's existing endangerment to life, health, or property. Anytime someone calls in a locate request or emergency locate request, our customer service reps do ask if it is endangerment to life, health, or property. And then they also let them know that if that's not a true emergency, that you can recoup those costs for responding to those. For the costs associated with responding to those requests. So we do try to help mitigate it on the front end. But if they do say, yes, it is endangerment to life, health, or property, we have to proceed with it being an emergency request. If it's questionable on the type of work, once we get the type of work and it's questionable, our customer service reps also go to the extent of asking, how is this an endangerment to life, health, or property? And we'll include that information in the ticket to help kind of explain why it is. But it's important that we don't want to deny an emergency request because we don't want any damage to your facilities. Because sometimes there is breakdown in communication of who's in the field and who's requesting these tickets. So we can't deny it. But we do want to hear about it if it is happening. So kind of similar to what we just talked about. If you go out to respond to a emergency locate, go ahead and respond as you normally would if you're clear, or if you've marked the facility, but include in the comments no signs of emergency conditions in your response, so that we can help identify again how often this is happening, who is happening with, because this is something we do hear often from our members, and we're doing what we can to try to mitigate it. But again, we ask for your help in communicating with the excavator as well, letting them know their requirements by the law and what that you can recoup the cost, and you can charge them for these for the time spent to going out and marking those facilities. And in fact, we encourage you when you're using this phrase, no signs of emergency conditions, in your response, go ahead and throw a piece that law piece in the comments as well. So you're showing them, because if they see that, the more often they see that, then that may deter them from doing it again if they see that information about, well, they can charge me for this. So we do encourage you to communicate with them, but maybe also throw that law piece into your comments as well to help mitigate those. And then also another complaint or concern that we hear is just high volume tickets, like really it's been those fiber optic lines is what we're hearing a lot back, is so many tickets being put in for especially smaller towns or something like that. But just you see it's happening across the state. And so we do again encourage you to, with these, they if they're not working, if they're calling in 30 tickets and they're only working 10 of those tickets, we do encourage you to add that phrase, no signs of current excavation, in your go ahead and respond. You can use go ahead and respond and then do that no signs of current excavation. So you can recoup those costs, so we can identify this, how often it's happening. And then also if you do, we do again encourage you to work with the excavator to work out a marking schedule. And if you're able to do so, then you can the ones you're marking or you're clearing, go ahead and respond with the appropriate response regarding your facility status. But for all the additional ones, then maybe use other as your response option, and then document in your comments the marking schedule, who you spoke with, and maybe keep that on hand so you can just kind of copy and paste that in there. Of who you worked with, what the marketing and schedule agreement was, all that information. It's important to include all that information in there, especially if you're using other, and then you can respond to those tickets accordingly based on that marking schedule. We also encourage you, for these high volume tickets, large project tickets, maybe consider using canned responses for comments that you might use often, so that you can just kind of, again, copy and paste in there and just kind of help with the workload rather than retyping everything out. If that's what's happened, if that's what your process is, it's a good idea to kind of use a canned response, just kind of streamline it any way you can, as well as do it as efficient as you can. And again, try to communicate and work with the excavator. It says I apologize, regarding the impact of false emergencies, but any high volume tickets or anything like that, we do want you to work with the excavator to try to just hold them responsible for one, as well as just make sure that it prevents damage to your facilities and provides a safe excavation environment for the excavator. So next, we're going to talk a little bit about positive response. Positive response is required by law to submit a response through the Okie 811 portal. It did become law back in November of 2021. If you have any questions on how to do that, we're happy to set that up. There's also a lot of tutorials, again, within the portal itself. Also, communicate locate status. That's the whole purpose of positive response, is to let the excavator know whether your facility is in conflict or not with their excavation. Of course, if it's in conflict, you are required by law to go out and mark that facility so it's not damaged during that excavation process. And then if it's not in conflict, that's where you want to respond with clear, letting them know your facility's clear of their excavation. And then any other required additional coordination that you have to do, it's a good idea to include that information in the positive response comments. Positive response also does support the excavation readiness, making sure that responses are added in a timely and accurate manner, helps ensure those projects can proceed safely and as scheduled. And then also responding to tickets in a timely manner does help make sure that you're reducing those repeat notices and not incurring those additional fees or anything like that, and preventing delays and preventing additional workload, creating additional workload with those repeat notices. Another thing about positive response is letting you know that you can respond to multiple tickets at a time in the portal, as long as it's the same ticket type. So you can see here as an example, there's three tickets that have the normal ticket type. Say you've already looked at these, or maybe they're part of that fiber optic that you've already worked with the excavator, you already know that you're clear based on communication with them and their locate requests that they submitted, that you're clear. You can select all 3 of those tickets, hit that add response button at the top right, and then submit clear on those. Or if you've marked it, you can add it, site marked, to all 3 of those tickets at the same time. So that can save you time when responding to tickets by responding to multiple tickets at a time, as long as it has the same response for the same facility. The next is just the busy season readiness, staying connected, coordinated, and safe. So we just kind of wanted to mention that communication is key. It does help when we work together to help manage and maintain the workload within the busy season. During the busy season, communication becomes one of our most important tools. As ticket volumes increase, staying connected allows teams to identify challenges early, helps us support one another, and ensures that everyone is working towards the same goal by providing accurate and timely responses. So maintaining that open communication with between operations, locators, support teams, leadership helps improve the process, helps manage that workload, moving teams where they need to be to help the high volume areas, sharing the changes in ticket volume, the workload challenges, and operational needs internally can help improve and help cover and manage that workload. And then also you want to make sure and ensure everyone understands the expectation, priorities, and response timeliness to make sure those responses are being done clearly and on time to help the excavator proceed with their jobs. Because if they can start on time, that helps mitigate some of those updates or remarks, those remarks and those extend tickets. And then also any questions or challenges, address those to help prevent delays or any inconsistencies. So deliver reliable responses. So consistency is key. Consistency is critical during high volume periods. By following the same response practices and working together can help reduce confusion, prevent delays, and support safer excavation environment for everyone. So make sure and follow those established processes and response standards on every ticket that you come across. Ensure responses are accurate, clear, and completed within required timeframes that's required by the law. Understanding the law and knowing the timeframes that you have helps with your workload. Sharing best practices and lessons learned to help improve consistency and help manage the workload is key. And then also use collaboration and feedback to identify any opportunities for improvement. We want to hear the feedback to any concerns that you have. We're happy to work with you to help mitigate those concerns and do what we can to keep your facilities protected and Oklahoma safe. So just a reminder, we're all in this together. Damage prevention works best when everyone participates responsibly in this process. We're all in this together and must work together to prevent those damages and keep excavators and the public safe. We all share the same goal, which is damage prevention and safe excavation. We want to protect those underground facilities, and we want to keep the workers and the communities safe. So some key takeaways. First is keeping information current, making sure that information on file is current and up to date, making sure it reaches the right people in a timely manner is important. The buffered center line and center point mapping helps reduce unnecessary notifications by creating more accurate and relevant tickets than the traditional quarter section or grid-based registrations. So if you have any questions about that, we're happy to help in any way we can. You also want to make sure and monitor trends and workloads and your workload. So monitoring those ticket trends and workloads can help anticipate those increased increased volumes, help prepare for those higher demands. And then just by reviewing that information can help you manage your workload, try to streamline and work through the busy season the best way you can by identifying where where things are happening, what's happening in those areas, and help adjust the teams to be in the areas they need to be accordingly. And then also communicate and maintain consistent response practices. Just effective communication and collaboration helps ensure consistent response practices during this busy season. Sharing updates, addressing challenges, working together across all teams, internally and externally, can maintain an accuracy, efficiency, and strong commitment to safety. So we do hope that you find this information valuable. We do want to improve this process and being help mitigate the concerns and help make improvements to help keep Oklahoma safe. So now we will go ahead and open up the questions. Jan, did we have any questions today?
Yes, we have one question,
Okay.
and it is, will this presentation be shared with the individuals on the call?
We can, if you would like um, a copy of the presentation. Well, for one, all these presentations are recorded, so you can go to our YouTube channel. Um, to find that, you can also go to our learning hub on our website. If you go to okie811.org and go to our learning hub, you can scroll down to our to the facility operators section, and it'll show you the recorded webinars and take you to our YouTube page where you can find this. So you will be able to find it there. But we can also email you a copy if you would like. It would just be the PowerPoint slides. It won't have the talking with it. So, or we could send you a link. We could send you a link to the recorded webinar. That'd probably be the easiest. Great question, though. Thank you. All right. Again, thank you again for joining today's webinar. We hope you found some value in it, and we appreciate any feedback that you have. If you will scan this QR code and just take a few minutes to fill out that brief survey, we would greatly appreciate it. We want to know how we did. And we value your content suggestions. If you do have any suggestions on new content or anything like that, anything industry trends that you're seeing on your end that you would like us to cover, or what are some best practices to handle those things, we're happy to receive that information. We'd love to receive that information so we can do what we can to help improve the industry and excavation readiness altogether in Oklahoma. So again, if you take the time to complete the survey, we greatly appreciate it. If you ever do have any questions, concerns, anything like that, want additional training, please reach out. We have a great member support team, and we're happy to help in any way we can. Again, thank you for your time today, and hope you have a great afternoon.